This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Jude, Dholah of TIR Consult. Jude, welcome to the show.
Morning, Jeff. Thank you for having me. I'm really honored to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. We're happy to have you on the show, especially when we were talking about mindset in the pre-show, personal development. Most of those behind me are either business or personal development. I just love squeezing the juice out of life. So let's talk about it right from the beginning. What is TIR Consult?
The letters TIR means thinking into results. I think life is about results. We have to look for results all the time. We're always doing it. Maybe sometimes we're not even conscious that that's what we're doing. We're looking for results. And the consult means the consulting. And that's what I do. I mean, I help people think, really. Because I understand most people are not thinking.
Well, we are in some way. They're coming up there, whether we have, whether it's intentional or not. Those thoughts are going through our head. But you're really talking about taking our thoughts intentionally and materializing them in the world.
Correct. Because mental activity doesn't constitute thinking. Sure. There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So who's your ideal audience, Jude? Who are you trying to help? Is it business? Is it anybody? Is it males, females,
when
adults?
We talk about exactly that. When we talk about business, we're talking about people.
We are.
We're talking about individuals. So I've many times I've had people ask me, in your business, what's your niche? Who's your niche? I say people. And they laugh and they say, is it real estate? I say people, And what I like to help is people in their businesses, but it's through them. They are the business. Business is not separate from the individuals. So who do I help? People in business, people in careers, jobs, but it's all about people, really.
But okay, so just to narrow that down, is we have a motto here that if you try to help everyone, you end up helping no one. There's just too many people to help. And if I spread myself out too thin, A, that can be a problem. B, I'd much rather be a master at one or two skills than be okay at 20 skills. And I think the world is going that way more. I think their true expert is being appreciated more. It allows for more industry. It allows for more people to get higher level results. You go to a business for one or two things rather than the jack of all trades, which I think many businesses wanted to do. I would deal with a contractor, for example, and I say, what do you do? And they say, everything. Backyards, pools, roofs, plumbing, electrical. I'm like, do you want to be known for that? Or do you want to be known as the person who increases the value of the home, who is an expert at kitchens, an expert at this? I think people are really looking to spend their money on the expert now rather than the jack of all trades. So when you're dealing with somebody's mindset, which I think is the most powerful thing out there, personally, it's changed my life drastically. It's what we teach inside of our business and outside of it as well. But is it mainly professionals, or does it matter business or not?
Well, if I narrow it down, I do believe when I say people, it's people. I understand when you say, if you talk to everybody, you're not talking to anybody. It's true to a certain extent. But if I narrow it down, it's self-employed people.
Okay.
Self-employed. And they have to have goals. We'll get into that as we go along.
Yeah. And I mean, before we get into that, this podcast is really manifested into something like we didn't know when we started it. We had never done podcasts before. We do our marketing in all other different types of ways, but we're very interested about podcasts. I'm a counselor at an addictions facility on the weekend, and all we do outside of fitness is a big part of it. I think fitness can help you get more in tune with yourself, more aware. And I think it can start releasing those positive chemicals inside of you to really start having those hard conversations. But the point of where I'm going is it was all deeply emotional, connecting conversations. And this podcast has become an extension of that, like really getting into the messiness of life rather than just talking about dollars and cents. We really are talking about building strong relationships with ourselves and by extension, building strong relationships with other people. So the story of a human being fascinates me. It's like everybody has their own Lord of the Rings or Star Wars story, Indiana Jones story, right? Rocky story. So what brought you to this place, Jude? Like, what made you decide two things? Number one, mindset is incredibly powerful to me, so much so that I'm going to practice it for life.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I'm going to do it so much that I decided to make it my profession, because those are two different things. I could love fitness and share it with everybody, but I'm not making an income off of it.
Uh-huh.
If say I'm now going to make an income, like, it is my world. So what brought you to that place, Jude?
For me, it's kind of a personal story.
We love those on here.
Yes, I had a job. I mean, I loved my job. I was a credit manager. I was working at Campbell Soup at the time, from Kellogg's to Campbell Soup, and things were going sideways for it's beginning of 2006. I was kind of dragging my feet into work, something I used to love doing. And I asked somebody at work, an older gentleman, there's something wrong going on at work. He says, really, at work? He knew what he was talking about. And of course, I was feeling like not good, not excited, the love was gone, the challenges that I felt inside was gone. And I'm thinking, it has to be over there. That's what I know. Cannot be me, right?
Right.
And he said, you have to talk to Bob. He didn't give me any advice. And that's the problem. We get people give you an opinion and it's called advice. And I said, Bob, what department? You see, Campbell's is a building where about 300 people is there. It's a big company.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no department. No, Bob. It's Bob Proctor.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it. He's right behind me.
Because I said, I've heard the name. The Secret just came out. That was in June 2006.
Sure. Yep.
I said, I heard the name, but I'm not sure. He says, you know what? At the time, somebody could get you on the phone with Bob. After that, it went, you couldn't. You needed to go through gatekeepers. So I had a conversation. He said, what do you want? And I'm thinking, what kind of a strange question is that? What do I want? I said, I don't know. What do you mean? He said, do you have goals? I said, yes. Of course. I mean, I'm a credit manager. I'm responsible for 8 people. I'm talking about objectives at work. Then we have to reach the numbers. And he said, no. Do you have a goal? I say, I didn't know what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
He says, okay, why do you get out of bed every morning?
There it is.
Oh, all right. I say, well, I have to get ready to go to work. He says, if getting out of bed means you have to go to work, go back to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what is this guy speaking? I mean, who am I talking to, right? I mean, it didn't make sense to me at the time. It's the way I was thinking. And then he kept coming back to, what do you want? He wanted me to find something to go for, to go after. A goal is something that it's a target that you go, but you know where you're going. You start thinking differently. And I remember in 2000, that was 2006. I remember in 2001, I was in a group of a few people, about 22 of us, learning to invest in real estate. We were just, spending just time. But I was still interested in finding out, because I think real estate is a good place to put your money.
Can be, yeah.
And I don't advise people to do that. It's just my opinion, and it did well for me, so I'm happy with that. And I told Bob that, and I said, I wanted to invest in real estate, and it never happened. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, a few years ago, 2001, there was a group of us. We were trying to learn from a guy called Darren Weeks. I mean, his name is irrelevant to this conversation, but he was helping people, and he was buying 50 copies of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Most people know who Robert Kiyosaki is, right? Mm-hmm. Every month, like clockwork. And again, at that time, Robert was not the way he is today, but he knew what was going on in his business. Mm-hmm. Today, he doesn't even know. There's other people doing that. And he got in touch with Darren. He said, what are you guys doing? 50 copies like clockwork every month. And Darren told him what he was doing. And Darren was not selling those books. He was giving it away to people. He said, read this book. It will help you do this. It will help you do that. It's not just about real estate, Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
Oh, it's a mindset.
It's a mindset, exactly. Yeah. And eventually Robert said, you know what? You guys are doing so well. He came here on his own dime. Half an hour. He gave us a private seminar, 20 people. I mean, that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's excited. We're going to do this, and I'm going to invest. And I wasn't thinking. And if you look at a couple of weeks after, it was all gone. The excitement. I was telling Bob this. He said, he said, don't feel bad. Most people do that. Most people will buy the seminars, will buy the books, and will put it away on the shelf. They feel good about getting it.
That's it.
But they don't implement what they're learning. It says over 90% of people do that. And then he goes back again and says, what do you want? Why are we talking today? And to be frank with you, Jeff, because I was in that conversation, I just made things. I said, I want to invest in 6 properties. He says, why 6? He says, because you have to be definite. Why 6? I said, well, my wife and I have 2 teenage daughters, and, eventually we'll probably have 2 grandkids. I'm thinking way ahead. We have 3 today, but I thought we would have 2. He said, okay, that's a good thought. I wasn't thinking. I was just throwing darts at the board. He said, so how long is it going to take you to do that? And I'm thinking, I don't have any money to invest in real estate. I said, maybe 5 years, but I said, I have a problem. I don't have any money to do that. He says, what do you need the money for? And I'm thinking, really, what is this guy smoking? I'm not saying that, but I'm thinking, what is he talking about? He says, to invest in real estate, Bob. Isn't that what we're talking about here? He says, you don't need any money. You haven't made the decision yet. He says, once you make the decision, committed decision, and take one of these, write it down, your mind is going to start looking at different things, because we do really think in pictures, right? In images. We don't think in words.
Definitely.
He says, write it down every morning. Write down what you want every morning. He said, don't copy what you wrote last night, yesterday. Just rewrite it. It may look the same. It may look different. Rewrite the same thing every day. And then I started studying with him because one thing he told me, I think that really changed the conversation, or maybe changed my life. He says, it seems that you don't believe what you're talking about. I say, it's a little hard to believe that I can do that, especially from where I was, right? He says, I'm going to tell you exactly what my mentor told me, my first mentor told me in 1961. He was 26 years old. He was going nowhere. He said, you can tell people that if you want. I was a loser, picking up speed, going downhill. And that's where I was. He says, my mentor told me, Ray Stanford, he said, Ray told me, you don't believe in what you're saying, Bob, right? But believe in my belief in you. Borrow my belief. He says, that's what I'm telling you today. Believe it. And he was so adamant that I thought, well, I'd rather follow this, this advice, if you will. And I started writing it down, and I started doing things like paying attention. He said, once you make the decision, you will start seeing the opportunity, you will start hearing, you will start, because of awareness. Mm-hmm. He says, most of us, we are, it's a funnel. We just go straight and we don't even see what's around us. He says, it's because of the way we think. It's the way we've been programmed to think. And we don't believe in ourselves enough. We don't understand potential, and on and on and on, all kinds of. And I said, okay. He says, you're going to take 5 years to do that. I said, all right. So I started studying with him. I took a lot of programs from him, and I kept going. And, Jeff, it didn't take me 5 years. I didn't think it would take me 5 years. I thought it would take me, I don't know how many years. We were talking in June of 2006. We had our own home. So my goal was to add to that 5 properties. I bought my 5th investment properties in August of 2008. Now, if you ask me how did I do that, I'm not an expert in real estate. What I can tell you is this. Bob didn't tell me to do this. Later on, when I reread Think and Grow Rich many times, I've read that book many times, really. It's kind of the Bible in this personal development space. I realized that I was doing masterminding without knowing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because the guy who was working with one real estate agent, he had to be an investor. The real estate lawyer had to be an investor. This is my conditions that I put down. Even the home inspector, I needed them to be a real estate investor because I didn't know anything about investing in real estate. I wanted to be in the presence of people who knew what they were talking about.
Sure.
Like we were having the same language. And later I realized this is what we call a masterminding. 2 years. 2 years and 2 months. That made me a believer in this is really powerful. Bob told me something. He says, the mind is the most powerful tool or whatever we want to call it that you have. He says, we're just carrying it around. We don't know how much power there is in there. And I do believe that. And there is a poem by Portia Nelson. You've heard of Portia Nelson?
No.
She was a writer. She was an actress. She was on Broadway in the 50s. She said, she wrote something, and I'm going to read that to you. I think my business is about that. She says, day 1, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. Of course it's not. It takes forever to find a way out. Day 2, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend that I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. Still takes a long time to get out. Day 3, I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. Now we're starting to get real. As I get out immediately. Day 4, there's 5 days. Day 4, I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Day 5, I walk down another street. And this is what we need to do if we want to reach where we want to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're talking about reconditioning the mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great story. I appreciate it. I like it. You talked about some big names there. Robert Kiyosaki, he's done great work. He's behind me as well. Same with Bob Proctor, Napoleon Hill. These are all seminal books that can really, what did it do for me? It really taught me that everything that I'm made up of is pretty much limitless. It just comes down to my decision to taking advantage of it or not. But I believe we are our own main obstacle. And if we choose to get in line, in tune, believe the power that we all possess and stop blaming it on externals.
Yes.
And start taking ownership over ourselves. There's another great book up there called Extreme Ownership. And I mean, he goes to the extreme lengths, but he's an extremely successful Navy SEAL and now a consultant for business called Jocko Willink. But it's incredible what we can do when we understand the power we possess and how much we can help people. You get your mind in line with your purpose. It's an incredible thing. What I want to, this is a great story, Jude. I really appreciate you taking us down that. I want to really clarify for the audience here. You taught us a bit about your business, why you got into the business, how much it changed and impacted your life, which I always love those stories because I find that businesses really start from one of 3 things: pain, passion, or profession. You had a pain that you addressed, that you overcame. Now you can help people with that. Or you're really passionate about gyms and you can help people with that. Or you've just developed skills through your profession. And most businesses require the same skills. So now they're transferable. But many of us, especially in the entrepreneurial world, addressed a pain that we had in our own life, overcame that pain, and now we can solve that problem for other people at a price. But I just want to be, I want the audience to really be clear about how their life can change from working with someone like you. So let's just use me as an example. Although I love my life, and I was that guy in the example that you gave before, mid-20s, spiraling, picking up speed on the way down, busted both my legs. So there was now pain medication involved in there as well, which equated to a dependency, which just picked up speed. It was a dark, dark time. But a lot of that core issue came from it's everybody else's fault. You make me happy or you make me upset. These are the problems coming towards me. And I didn't realize that all of those obstacles I was creating myself, number one. Number two, they were all potential opportunities to help me level up myself. So once I got closer to my 30s, I changed that, and it started with mindset. There is no more I have to. It was I get to. Right? Like I'm alive. Even the problems, I wouldn't be facing them if I wasn't alive. Would I rather not be? No. I ended up getting all my rules for life here. So they're a reminder to see every day to keep me dialed in. But I still have obstacles, no question. So if I come to you, what can I expect? So we can paint that picture for the audience. How do you work with me? What does that look like?
What does that look like? I mean, it's different for different people.
Sure.
Right. But we're not taught to think, right? I think thinking should be, thinking should be taught in school. We should learn how to think. We have our own problems, we have our own solutions. It's not out there. The answers are in here, right? What I help people do is simply this. I believe most people have most of the answers that they need to solve their problems. I really believe that. Very sincerely believe that. What I know for sure is most people do not ask the right questions. And I think we have it backwards. And I used to be the most people. I'm not special. I just learned. And what I did was really apply the learnings. I mean, Bob really taught me that. He said, you can read all day long. You can do whatever you want. You're not going to change anything if you don't start changing the way you think. And that's what I help people with. We need to ask questions. We need to learn to ask questions, and that I help people do that. I've been studying that for a long time, 18 years now, and any questions has the answer already within it. But I mean. But it's asking the right questions, and sometimes the tough questions, and we get to and I'm going to tell you this: problems are sometimes a blessing.
I would agree. In many cases, they are.
Problems are a blessing. So when we get to that, to the why we're doing what we're doing and why we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, we start understanding that most of what we do is so habitual that we don't even realize what we're doing. And we have to start living a little more consciously so we get to where we're going. So at the end of the day, it's the same thing for everybody, but everybody's in a different place. Everybody's in a different place. It depends on what the person wants. There's a saying that Bob said his mentor said, and he repeated that. And he said, I think you can tell that to people when you get to that point where you are comfortable saying it. He says, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to do it. Because I know you can. But you don't know you can yet. That is for the majority of people. We don't know. We're just walking and we keep going without thinking.
So to move forward in life, we really have to first become aware of our automation. Essentially, a lot of
Awareness.
it was raised in, become aware of these habits, these robotic movements that we do day to day. A lot of them developed in our younger years, but then reconditioned over time as an adult. First, we become aware, and then we rewire our thinking, and now the world kind of opens up to us. Is that kind of the nuts and bolts?
Exactly. As an example, our formative years is what, up to 7 years?
That's what I'm told.
7 years old. What happens during these first years, and again, for the majority of people, there's a lot of, forgive me if I say that, nonsense being put into our minds.
Sure.
We do certain things in front of kids, the little ones, and we say certain things. We're not paying attention to them. When they turn around and do the same things and say the same things, they get in trouble. We chastise them. We whatever. If they could turn around and say, "But we learned that from you, mom, dad," but we can't do that, right? And we repeat generation after generation. We repeat the same things. I was walking into Vaughan Mills, and I remember that very clearly, February 2018. I take this example because this was very impactful to me. I was walking in, lots of snow. I was scraping my boots on the rug at the entrance, and I was startled. I heard a loud just behind me, "What's wrong with you?" I turn around, and there's a little boy, maybe 5 years old. His dad, probably dad, right? Scolding this boy. And I'm thinking, if I could tell you, there's nothing wrong with this guy. There's something wrong with you. But you can't just go talk to people like that, right? If this is the way he's talking to his boy, the little boy is probably having fun and he's whatever. And if this is the way you talk to this boy, how many times is he going to hear you say, "What's wrong with you?"
Sure.
You will end up believing there's something wrong with me. Absolutely. And that goes into relationships, into business, into careers, into whatever. We have to understand there's nothing wrong with us. We are born perfect. We're not perfect, but there's perfection in our essence. God doesn't make faulty products, right? And it's crazy how we are not aware, but we're doing this to kids, and we expect them to be perfect.
Yeah.
You will hear many parents saying to their kids, "Can't you be more like your brother? Can't you be more like your sister?" The parent is thinking, "I'm giving you a good example to follow. Look at the grades they're bringing home. Look at how they, present them. Look at their behavior at the table. They are doing," but that's not what the kid is hearing. The kid is hearing, "I'm not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not loved as much as," or whatever. And, it doesn't go away. We grow up like that, and we're still in our 30s, 40s, still believing we're not good enough. We may have all kinds of degrees and whatever to put on the wall, but still inside there's something missing. There's something that's broken. We need to repair that. And it's about reprogramming how we've been deprogramming and reprogramming.
Yep. Super powerful stuff. Like life-changing to me, no question. Its fingerprints are in every aspect of my life and business. So I love what you're talking about. To pivot real quick, because I want to get in a few more before the end of our time here. Short answers, little playful here. 5 things that put a smile on your face, Jude. 5 things.
Oh, I'm already smiling. You're talking about that. I'm thinking of my little ones. I have a 4 and a 5-year-old. When they're here, the house is a mess, but still, it's still beautiful. But you know what's funny? When our daughters were like that, I have 2 daughters. It was a problem. We needed to get them to, to be, "You're too messy, you're too this, you're too that." But now that we have grandkids,
a little different, right?
It's different. So why don't we have grandkids before we have kids? I don't know.
I know. Well, you get it. This is the second time around, right? You got more practice. I'm told that from many grandparents, it's a little different with their grandkids. But so you love your family. What else puts a smile on your face, Jude?
I like to read.
What really lights you up?
And I like to read. And right now, I'm this next on my desk. This book, I'm reading that for maybe the 5th time now.
Okay.
You may have heard of this book.
No.
Slowing Down to the Speed of Life.
Yeah.
It says at the back, it says, it will help you slow down without downsizing your lifestyle. We don't have to change our lifestyle. It says enjoy the increased creativity and productivity. This book really helps you understand there's a lot of noise around you.
Being present, right?
Be present. You
That's
can
cool.
ignore the noise. You can get into the noise, but it has to be your choice.
Yeah.
So
And
I
it really
think,
does slow things down, slows down anxiety, slows down stress. Yeah.
and sometimes slow down completely. I tell that to people. I talk to people every day. I talk to people. I said, I think depending on what's going on when we're talking, I said, maybe you should take a day off, take a break, just get out, walk. And I always hear, oh, you mean I can't do that? I said, don't worry. The
Sure
world
you
is still going to go around.
Yeah.
You still just make a decision, take out. Well, anyway, what else? I like to travel.
Give me your favorite place, Jude. What
My
really
favorite place
resonates?
is my birthplace, Mauritius. I don't know if you've heard of
I
Mauritius.
haven't actually. Where is that?
Mauritius is, if you see South Africa here, Australia here,
Okay.
it's in the middle of the ocean. It's a small island.
Okay.
It's sunny there. It's always summer there. I'm still wondering what I'm doing here. We came here in 1987, many years now, 37.
You and your wife and your kids?
One of them
Yeah.
was born here. One of them, the older one was 4 years old when we came. I love to travel. I love to read. I love my family, and I love to feel good. Life is about how you feel, right? Life is about memories. We create memories. We can have all kinds of cars. We can have whatever, but it's the feeling of driving the car. It's not the car itself. It's how do you feel about driving the car. And I love driving. I was just watching Senna. You've heard of Senna, right?
I watched it. Yeah, it's great.
What's that?
Yeah.
Six episodes, right? I loved it. I cried many times watching that, and I love that. So I love these things, how it makes you feel, really. Whatever makes you feel good is really what I'm after.
We need one more, Jude. I'm going to press you for one more. That's 4.
That's 4. I'm not counting.
We
I was counting. Yeah. And you know what? I'm go back to Bob. He says, and I really feel that, he says, when we find out that we've been able to help somebody transform, we're not transforming people. You can't do that. But you help them transform. He says, you get a psychic income that's more valuable than the money. He says, and I do believe that. Again, it's about feeling. Another thing about feeling.
Everything best feeling on the planet.
Yeah.
It really
he says, if you chase the money, he says, money can hear, cannot talk, but can hear. If you chase the money will run away from you. But if you help people, you will not have to worry about money to a certain extent. You have to do something, right? But I think that psychic income is invaluable.
It's great advice. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll get what you want in life.
Exactly. Yeah, that was Ziglar.
It is a way to live, and it really changes your perspective because it makes sense. If I want a lot of money, I'll go out there and really chase money. That makes sense. It just makes sense, but it's counterintuitive because it's how are you getting the money? That's the important thing. And if you dedicate your life to increasing the quality of other people's lives, the quality of your life will be limitless. It will skyrocket. Yeah. And then you'll just be living in this great state of flow. Money won't really mean much to you anymore because you're so beyond your survival necessity. You're in such a state of abundance. And for me, I found, and I think a lot of the books say the same thing, and a lot of people will agree, that the feeling we get when we're deeply connected with another human being or a group of human beings is just the most fulfilling thing that I think we're wired for it. And I do think it takes some effort to get there. Yeah. But once you're there, you just want to repeat that process over and over and over again.
Exactly. You're giving that and you get it back. You're giving back multiple times. You're getting back, multiplied. It's incredible.
What a way to live. What's the best way to find out more about you, Jude? How do people connect? They're interested. How do they get a hold of you? What's the best way?
Well, I have my website, for example, which is my name, JudeDholah.com.
Okay.
And today it's actually just happened to be today. And tomorrow we're revamping the website. We are renewing it. We're doing it. I can be reached by, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. I can be reached by phone.
Mm-hmm.
Is
your phone on your website?
My phone on my website, my LinkedIn on my website, my Facebook on my website, and it's all there.
So go to the website, JudeDholah.com. That's DHOLAH.com. And are you local to Simcoe County, Jude?
I live in Innisfil.
Perfect. Awesome.
I'm right there.
Last question for you. I'm sure you can make this a long one, but we only have a couple of minutes left. I know I can make this question a long one, but I will summarize it quickly, and then hopefully we can get a quick answer from you. It really is this. I only talk about so many things in my life because I'm only interested in a few things. I was told from my mentors, study broadly at the beginning, find out things, test things, and then over time you'll narrow your approach to study deeply. And so it's health, purpose, impact, mentorship, entrepreneurship, love, happiness. 4 or 5 things. That's it. I mean, you can really narrow it down to health, wealth, love, and happiness. That would be it. And impact is a part of that. What is my impact? A lot of people talk about legacy, and I'm like, well, you're going to be dead, so you won't even know how it feels. Why don't we make a legacy happen now while you're here, so you can experience it for yourself? So that's what I consider impact. What is my impact on this planet? Jeff is born. Jeff dies one day. What does the middle equate to? And it is one of the most fascinating questions with some of the most fascinating answers that I've gotten from other people. Some people have never thought about it before. That's what all this is. I think about it every day. The most successful people in my life think about it every day. So I'd like to ask you, Jude, what would you like your impact to be?
Well, we're here for a short period of time.
Agreed.
We come here and we leave. And it's how you make people feel. Impact is about how, because, we are born out of love. We're made of love. We learn to hate. We learn to whatever. But I think the impact that anybody can make, I would like to make, is leaving people with the impression of increase. Understanding that, there's love in the conversation. You're valuable. You may not be aware of it. Most people are not aware. And when I leave you after the conversation, I want you to feel that you've been increased in some way, that you've gotten value. It's a feeling. It's a feeling.
I love it.
Keep it short.
And really, if I know that was a very easy sentence to say, but if somebody decides to live that way, that no matter who they're touching in whatever way, putting a smile on their face, teaching them a skill, a supporting hand, an ear to bend, if you make people feel better, it's
they will
just
remember.
a way to live. Oh, yeah. What is it? Maya Angelou, I think she says they don't remember what you said. They don't remember what you did.
How you feel.
But they remember how
you make them feel. How you make them feel. Absolutely.
It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Jude, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, man. These are my types of conversations because I think they really get to the juice of life. I could have this conversation with you for an afternoon. We could do one of those 2, 3, 4 hour podcasts like you see out there. But we've come to the end here. And I just want to say I appreciate it. I respect what you do. And thanks for coming on the show, man.
I'm grateful. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, Jude. Until next time, you have a wonderful afternoon, man.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.